Like, subscribe and leave a comment, if your hands aren't shaking. The words roll out like a dare, a nervous grin trying to hide the tremor in my voice. Because once you see this, you won't sleep with your lights off again. The footage starts at 2:07 a.m., 30 minutes before the call. Patrol lights stain the siding of the Whitaker house in cold blue. The street is too quiet for a Wednesday. Inside, every surface seems polished with dread. A coffee mug sweats on the kitchen counter, a baby monitor screen flickering beside it, grainy grayscale, a crib, the slow rise and fall of a sleeping chest. In the corner of the monitor, a tiny green dot pulses like a heartbeat. At 2:09 a.m. the dot turns red. The camera pans. No one touches the controls. Mara Whitaker had whispered to the screen, "Daniel, did you move the camera?" Silence. She texted him at work. He was on a late security shift 2 towns over. A second later, the audio on the monitor clicked on by itself. Dry static spilled into the kitchen, followed by a voice. A whisper shaped like a smile. "Shoo, Daddy's here." Mara ran, the way fear makes you run, crooked, banging her hip into the banister on the way up. The nursery door was cracked an inch. The camera on the wall turned on its motor, panning left, then right, settling on the crib. The baby slept on, a cloud in cotton. No one in the chair. No one near the window. But the camera kept moving as if tracking breath. At 2:13 a.m. the house lost Wi-Fi. Not a coincidence. The router logs would later show a deauthentication storm. A brute, ugly shove that ensured only one device stayed connected. The nursery cam. Whoever had control didn't want competition. Detective Elise Hale arrived at 2:26 a.m., tall coat, heavier eyes. She had worked enough break-ins to know when a house felt wrong. This one felt watched. She split the scene clean. One officer with Mara downstairs, one posted at the rear door, another at the gate. Then she went up alone. "Mrs. Whitaker," Hale said, quiet as gauze, "who else has your Wi-Fi password?" "Everyone in the cul-de-sac," Mara blurted, then winced. We shared it during the storm last fall." The monitor showed 2:31 a.m. The camera jolted once. Then a lullaby leaked through the speaker, an old nursery rhyme, slightly off-key, like a memory someone had taught themselves phonetically. Hale followed the sound into the room. The crib held a sleeping baby, cheeks rosy with unknowing. The window was locked from the inside. The closet was shut. The rocking chair was angled toward the crib, a folded gray blanket draped over its arm. Hale's flashlight caught something soft on the carpet. 2 small fibers, pale and synthetic, clinging to the pile. She bagged them. Downstairs, a second officer scrolled the router's admin panel. "This is strange," he muttered. "One unknown MAC address. Not a phone. Not a laptop. Looks like a travel router?" Mara's voice fell to pieces. "We changed the locks when we moved in. We set up the cameras. We did everything right." Hale didn't say it out loud. People rarely do, but the walls themselves felt complicit. She stepped into the hallway, scanning family photos. The vacation by the pier, the wedding, the newborn wrapped in hospital stripes. In every frame the same thing. Perfect angles. Someone who cared about composition. Someone patient. At 2:33 a.m. the camera in the nursery tilted down, stopped, and pointed not at the crib, but at the floorboard seam beneath the rocking chair. It held the shot like a director calling their mark. Hale crouched. The seam was hairline, but the paint had a ripple, the barest swell where a board had been lifted and pressed back. She flattened her palm against the wood. Cold. Too cold for a room like this. The lullaby died mid-note. The monitor went black. Upstairs the baby sighed, then slept deeper. Hale stood and turned to the hallway, voice steady. "Get me a pry bar. And the basement key." "The basement is locked," Mara said, eyes widened, the words barely there. "We've never used it. The realtor said the previous owner sealed it after a flood." Hale's jaw set. She gripped the key ring, metal teeth clinking like a countdown. "Then we start there." They walked to the narrow door under the stairs, a forgotten mouth in the drywall. The officer set the pry bar against the swollen frame. The lock turned once, twice, and held like a secret. When they finally opened the basement door, what they found changed everything. The door moaned as it opened, releasing a smell like wet dust and copper. Detective Hale's flashlight sliced through the dark, revealing a staircase that sank into concrete silence. The walls were lined with peeling paint, and at the bottom, something metallic reflected the beam, a tripod. No, not just one. Several. Mara gripped the railing. "We never came down here. I swear we didn't even." Hale motioned for quiet. Every step down made the floorboards above groan as if the house itself were listening. When her shoes touched the cold cement, she realized the tripods weren't empty. They were holding small, black devices. Motion sensors, cameras, and 2 baby monitors identical to the one upstairs. All unplugged, yet a tiny LED blinked green on each. On the far wall, a desk faced a dusty old computer tower. Its screen glowed faintly, already awake. The wallpaper was a looping image from the nursery camera, the crib, the sleeping baby, the rocking chair. But this footage wasn't live. The timestamp in the corner read 3 days ago. "Someone's been saving your feeds," Hale murmured. "Not just streaming them." The cursor moved across the screen by itself. Click. A folder opened labeled Live. The video feed switched to real-time. Hale's stomach dropped. It was the nursery again. She and Mara weren't in the frame, yet the crib was empty. The baby was gone. Mara screamed, stumbling backward. No, he's upstairs. He's upstairs." Hale sprinted back up the steps, her flashlight jerking across the walls. When she burst through the nursery door, the crib was still there, and so was the baby, sound asleep. But the mobile above him was spinning slowly, though the air was still. She turned to the camera mounted on the wall. Its lens tilted down as if embarrassed to be caught watching. "Mara," Hale said, voice low, "these cameras were synced to something local, maybe a hub hidden in the house. Whoever installed them knew exactly where to hide the signal." Mara's husband, Daniel, arrived minutes later, breathless, still in his security uniform. "What's going on? Why are there cops in my house?" Hale studied him carefully. The dark uniform, the radio clipped to his belt, the keycard hanging from his pocket. "You said you worked security, Mr. Whitaker." "For which company?" "Falcon Guard," he replied. "Private contracts. Mostly warehouse monitoring." "Would those warehouses use the same kind of cameras you installed here?" Hale asked. Daniel hesitated. "I mean, yeah. They're reliable, affordable." "Why?" Before she could answer, her radio crackled. "Detective Hale, we've got something down here. You need to see this." She descended again. On the concrete floor beside the desk, an officer had uncovered a box sealed with packing tape. Inside were memory cards, each labeled with a date, some recent, some months old. Hale's hands tightened as she flipped through them. The earliest file was dated January 14th. Weeks before the Whitakers moved in. "This system didn't start with them," Hale said under her breath. "It's been recording through every family that's lived here." One of the officers inserted a card into the computer. The screen blinked and a video loaded. The room was the same nursery but painted a different color. A different crib. A different family. The footage showed a woman rocking a baby to sleep. Suddenly, from the corner of the frame, the closet door creaked open. A tall figure in dark clothing stepped out, mask reflecting the glow from the camera. The woman turned too late. The feed ended. Mara screamed again and stumbled away from the monitor. Daniel's face went pale. "What is that? What the hell is that?" Hale froze the frame, zooming in on the reflection in the masked visor. The angle caught part of the room, a faint glint of something metallic on the wall, a company logo etched on the camera casing. It wasn't the brand name of a store-bought baby cam. It was Falcon Guard. Hale turned to Daniel, her voice razor calm. "You didn't just work security, did you? You installed these systems, didn't you?" Daniel's jaw clenched. "That's not possible." "I didn't." The basement lights flickered, then went out. Upstairs, the monitor turned on by itself again. The same lullaby began to play, but this time the words were clear. "Daddy's home." And from the nursery, the rocking chair started to move on its own. When Hale turned back toward the dark basement, the live feed on the monitor flickered, revealing a shape standing at the foot of the stairs, watching them all. The scream that followed wasn't from Mara this time. It came from the radio. Static hissed through every channel as Hale's officers shouted over one another. "Movement upstairs. East hallway. He's in the house." Hale drew her weapon, motioning for silence. The basement was now breathing, the quiet hum of live electricity where there should have been none. The computer screen blinked to life again, displaying a live feed of the staircase. In the corner of the frame, the same figure stood motionless, face hidden behind a smooth black visor that caught the flashlight beam like glass. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was looking through it. "Whoever you are," Hale shouted, "you're surrounded. Step into the open." No response. The feed zoomed in on Hale's face as if mocking her command. Then click. The screen went black. Mara clutched her baby to her chest, whispering, "He's not real. He can't be real." But upstairs, the baby monitor flickered again, showing the crib, empty. The child in Mara's arms vanished from the feed, as if the system refused to believe he was safe. Hale guided them toward the kitchen, keeping her light steady. "We're leaving." "No. Stick close to me." As they reached the front door, the deadbolt refused to turn. Locked from the inside. Hale's radio erupted once more. "Detective, check the backyard. There's a van by the fence. No plates, engine cold, but it's wired for signal boost." A realization struck like ice water. Whoever was watching them wasn't outside. He was still connected. The network was feeding through that van, rerouting all signals to an external hardline. Daniel took a shaky step forward. "I can disable it. I know the hardware. Just give me the chance." Hale didn't like it, but she nodded. "You've got 2 minutes." He sprinted out the back door, disappearing into the fog-soaked yard. Every second ticked too loudly. Hale held her breath, listening. Then, a sharp metallic snap, followed by silence. "Daniel?" she called. No answer. She moved cautiously to the doorway. The van's rear doors were open, wires spilling out like veins. Daniel was gone. The van's interior monitors glowed with dozens of paused camera feeds. Bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens. Not just the Whitakers. Different homes. Different lives. All watched. Mara's voice broke from behind her. He said he'd only installed 2 cameras here. Just 2. Hale turned, her stomach sinking. That wasn't the full truth. Back inside, the baby monitor screen flickered again. The feed switched to the van's interior, and Daniel appeared, sitting in the driver's seat, frozen. The black-masked man was behind him, one hand on Daniel's shoulder. But when Hale spun around toward the van in the yard, it was empty. Both men gone. The screen on the wall now showed a split feed, the nursery still and quiet, and another view, a dimly lit warehouse lined with identical servers. Rows upon rows of blinking red lights. A text overlay appeared on the screen in white letters. "You watched me. Now I'm watching you." The monitor shut off. The FBI's digital forensics team took over the next day. They confirmed Hale's suspicion. The Whitaker home network had been hijacked by an internal relay hidden in the foundation of the house. Whoever built it had full control over every device connected to their Wi-Fi, recording weeks of footage, then cycling it through an anonymous host server. But the most disturbing discovery wasn't the technology, it was the footage they found archived on one of the drives. Dozens of homes across 3 states. Different families. Same layout. Same type of camera. Same soft lullaby. Detective Hale was called in to review the final recovered clip. It was timestamped 2 hours after she left the Whitaker residence. The camera panned slowly across an unfamiliar nursery, white walls, freshly painted. A new family had already moved in. In the reflection of the window, a man's silhouette appeared, short hair, security badge clipped to his collar. He looked directly into the lens, smiled faintly and whispered, "Sleep tight." The video ended there. No trace of Daniel Whitaker was ever found. The Falcon Guard company folded within months, its founder missing overseas. Detective Hale filed her final report under active cybercrime investigation, ongoing surveillance operations. But that wasn't what haunted her. What haunted her was the last notification she received before resigning. Her own baby monitor, a brand new model sealed in the box, lit up on her phone's network list. And beside it, one device name appeared she didn't recognize, Daddy's Home, Connected. If you thought this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe, and remember, sometimes the eyes watching you aren't human, they're connected.